In today's video, we're going to be using Autodesk Inventor to create ourselves a bearing bracket. I'll do a quick fly around of this shape so you can get a bit of an idea on what a bearing bracket looks like. Alrighty, so it's basically made up of two parts. We've got this base plate that's in the shape of the triangle, which we'll be drawing first, and then we've got like this little cylinder that is attached to it, and we'll be drawing that second. Okay, so if we have a look at the dimensions over here in our orthographic view, I will supply a printout if you're in my classroom, but otherwise just take note of these dimensions. So there's the front view. It's got a majority of the dimensions there. If we just pop over to the side view, have a quick look, and then we've got the top view over here as well. Alrighty, so I'll just zoom back there now. So that is a bearing bracket, and that is what we're creating today. So to get started, you need to head up to your File menu. If you're in an old version of Inventor, you might have to click the orange eye that you see in the top left corner. Head down to the New Document option here and just click on that. Choose a metric template and then select the Standard Millimeter Inventor Part option. Then you can go down and click Create. An empty page appears ready for you to create your bearing bracket. So to start with, we are going to draw that triangle kind of shape like the base plate for this bearing bracket. And we need to draw it in 2D first of all, so we're going to start a 2D sketch by clicking that Start 2D Sketch button up in our ribbon. And from the three planes that appear, we want to select the XY plane. On the XY plane, we're going to leave our origins right in the center of our page because we're going to work around that today. We're going to draw three circles to start with. So grab your circle tool from your ribbon at the top. The first circle is going to come out of the origin, which is that center point there where the X and the Y axis meet. So click on that once and drag out, and I want you to type in 12 millimeters for the first circle. I'm just going to zoom back a bit. I'm going to draw two more circles up the top here, and it doesn't matter what size right now. Okay, because what we're going to do, I'm just going to press Escape to turn the circle tool off. I'm going to go up to my constraint section up here. In the constraint section, this very last option that looks like an equals sign is the equal constraint. And we can make these three circles equal to one another using this tool. So we're going to click first of all on the equals constraint, and then we're going to click on the bottom circle, which is set to 12 mil. Then we're going to go and click on the circle on the left. And that makes it 12 millimeters in diameter as well. If we go and click on the 12 mil circle down the bottom again, and then the one up on the right, it will dimension it to 12 millimeters as well. So now these three circles are equal to one another. And what that means is if I ever resize this circle down here, I'll just do it as an example to say 25. Let me just type that in. The other three circles will resize with it. Okay, so it's a quick way of resizing if you ever need to do so. Alrighty, so just leave it at 12 mil though. Now you know how that equal constraint works. So those three circles are all equal to one another and will resize with each other if need be. Alrighty, so what we're going to do next is we are going to dimension these two circles and get them a certain distance from the origin here. So click on the dimension tool up the top in your constraint section. Click on the center point of the top left circle and then go and click on the origin down here. Okay, I want you to drag up and you'll see you've got a constraint just above the circle there. Click once and type in 50 mil. Press enter and that will dimension that circle 50 mil from this center line. We're going to do the same for this right hand side circle. So click on the center, click on the origin, drag up, type in 50 and press enter. Now that just sends it a little bit skew-if, so just press escape and you might need to pick up that 50 and just drag it back down somewhere a bit sensible. Alright, and now we need to just do that once again, grabbing our dimension tool. This time we're just going to click on the edge of the circle and then go and click on the center point again, or the origin. Drag out to the left, click, and we're going to type in 92 millimeters. Okay, and that just sends it up 92 millimeters from the x-axis down here. We'll do the same for this circle on the right, so just click somewhere on the outside of that circle. Go and click on the origin and then come out to the right and we're going to type in 92 mil. Alright, press escape to turn that off, and I just want you to move those dimensions in a little bit closer to the circles so they're not so far away from each other. Something like that. Okay, so that's how your page should be looking. 3 12mm circles, all nicely dimensioned. Now we're going to add 3 more circles in. It doesn't matter what size. Okay, so I'm going to do the first one up here in the top left, then one over here in the top right. I'm going to do one in the center here, but I don't want it to sit on this center line, so just move it a little bit off that center line and draw yourself a third circle like so. Okay, and what we're going to do now is use the concentric constraint on these circles. So press escape. Alright, and we're going to go up into our constraint section again, and we're going to look for those 2 little circles. It's called concentric constraint there. Now if you click on this top left little circle and then the top left big circle, you'll see what the concentric constraint does. It basically wraps one circle around the other. Do the same over here on the right. Click on the little circle first, then click on the big circle. Same in the center down here. Click on the little circle, click on the big circle. Okay, and you've now got all those circles constrained with one another using the concentric constraint tool. Now we're going to dimension these circles to get them to an appropriate size. So grab your dimension tool, and we're going to click on the top left circle first, the bigger one. Click and drag out, and I want you to make it 50mm. Do the same for the right hand side, so click and drag out on the top right bigger circle and make it 50mm. Alright, the bottom circle is just going to be a little bit bigger. So click on this bottom bigger circle and make it 60mm. Okay, so now we've got those 3 bigger circles set to the right size. We're going to grab the line tool next. Okay, and with the line tool, again, there's no set size I'm going to use here, but I'm just going to click and drag a straight line, perfectly straight line across the top, like so, and press escape. I'm going to grab the line tool again. I'm going to start out here on the left, click, and click another line like so, going diagonal, running pretty much down the side of these 2 circles. Using the line tool one more time, I'm going to start on the right hand side out here, click, and click, and draw another diagonal line coming down the side of these 2 circles. Okay, and what we're going to use now is what we call a tangent constraint. So this one just here, this little circle with a line on it. We're going to use the tangent constraint to get these lines touching the circles. Okay, so what we need to do is just click on the line, click on the circle. Come down the bottom and click on the line again and click on this circle. That'll just straighten it out. And you can see now both ends of the line are touching the circle. Alright, so up the top, click on the line first, then click on the circle. Okay, you won't have to do that twice because you can see it's already touching both of the top circles. So that top line is all good. This right hand side one though, we're going to click once on the line, once on the top circle. We're going to click once again on the line and then click on the bottom circle. Alright, so we've now got our straight lines looking pretty good, but as you can see, there's a little bit left over on the end of some of these lines which we'll need to trim off. So up in your modify section, you've got the trim button just here. It's a pair of scissors. And all you need to do is just zoom in and hover over those end bits and click, and it will just trim off those excess bits that we don't need. So just go around and trim off all those extra lines that you don't need, and you should eventually end up with a shape looking like this. Now still with the trim tool selected, we're going to cut off the inner part of these circles. Okay, so just click there, there, and there. And you'll be left with a shape that's looking just like that. Okay, and that's pretty much all we need to do for this shape at the moment. This is the base plate pretty much done. So you can click Finish Sketch up the top. You may need to zoom out a bit so you can see something looking like that. Okay, we're going to extrude this now to make it 3D. So let's click the extrude button up here. I want you to make the distance 12mm and then just click inside this shape somewhere so you get it popping out and click OK. Alright, so that is our base plate now. Looking pretty good. Next thing I want you to do is just pretty much lie it flat. So hold Shift on your keyboard and hold your mouse wheel down at the same time and just give it a bit of a rotate until it's lying pretty flat. Something like that will look good. You can use a little cube to rotate it around if need be. Alright, so now that we've got our little base plate here lying flat, what I'm going to do is head up to this work features section, and you'll see the word plane. Hit the arrow below that, and I want you to choose offset from plane. Like we've got an X, Y plane and a YZ plane and an XZ plane, we're going to create a brand new plane to draw on. Okay, so select offset from plane, come over to your browser here and expand your origin folder. Alright, once you've expanded that, I want you to click on the XZ plane that looks like that. Okay, yours might not be the XZ plane, it might be one of the other two planes, but hopefully you can find the one that looks like this, and just click on it. A little box will appear here asking you how far you want to offset this plane. And we want to offset it 30 millimeters. So type in 30, you'll get a preview of where that's going to end up, and press the tick. Okay, so you've now got a new work plane that you can draw onto. Okay, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So up the top, click Start 2D Sketch, and come down here and click on this new work plane. Now you can't just click in the center of this work plane, you have to hover near the border. And when you see the words Work Plane 1 appear, that's when you know you're good to go, and you can click on it. It'll swing your shape around, and you can now start drawing on this plane. Alright, so what we're going to do first of all is draw a couple of circles. So grab your circle tool. Again, don't snap it to this center line, just draw them out to the side for a moment. The first circle that we draw is going to be 26 mil diameter. I'm going to draw one coming out of the center of that, which is going to be a bit bigger at 50 mil. So you'll have two circles around each other like that. Okay, what we're going to do now, we want to get these to snap onto this center line. Okay, but we can't do it yet until we use something called the Project Geometry tool to project this Z-axis here. Okay, so click your Project Geometry tool and come over to your browser and click Z-axis. It should be the vertical axis, and you'll see a yellow line appear down the center of your page, like so. Okay, now that just means that's a guide now that we can use to help us get our shapes into position. Alright, so what we're going to use to get these circles smack bang on the center of that line is something called the Coincident Constraint tool. And that's the first constraint tool up here that we can see. So click on the Coincident Constraint tool, click on the center of our circles, and then click on this yellow line. And that will position them smack bang on that yellow line. We've applied a coincident constraint. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to dimension the x-axis. Okay, the bottom line, so that's just down here, 50 mil away from the center of these circles. Okay, so grab your dimension tool, click on this x-axis which runs along the bottom here. You should see it flashing at the moment. Just click on it and then click on the center of those circles. Bring it out to the right, click your mouse, type in 50 mil, and I want you to press enter. Now the next thing we're going to do is draw a little rectangle. Now the rectangle, doesn't matter where you do it, but I just want to do it out to the left hand side somewhere at the moment. And I want you to drag out the base to be 30 millimeters in size. Press tab. It doesn't matter what height you make it. Okay, so I'm just going to make it, let's say, something like that. Okay, as long as you've got a rough size like mine, you should be all good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use this Coincident Constraint tool again to snap this rectangle to our x-axis. So click the Coincident Constraint tool, click the base of your rectangle, and then come down and click on this base down here. Okay, it's basically the origin we want to click on. That's the only thing highlighting there, so click on the origin. And you'll see now that your rectangle is smack bang in line with the origin, or pretty much positioned on the x-axis. Alright, next thing we're going to do is grab our Dimension tool. Okay, and we're going to dimension the left side of our rectangle with this vertical yellow line, so the Z-axis. Okay, and the distance that they need to be apart is 15 mil. So that will put half of our rectangle on one side of the line and half of our rectangle on the other side of the line, or the Z-axis there. Alrighty, the next thing I'm going to do is just zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of trimming. Okay, we're going to grab our trim tool from up the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut away this inside circle here that's inside our rectangle. So just snip that away. Then we're going to snip away the top of our rectangle. And we're going to snip away these sides just here. So eventually you're left with this kind of shape. if you've got that kind of shape, your sketch is done. So you can click Finish Sketch. And we just need to extrude this now, and our bearing bracket will be finished. So let's extrude this. Okay, so click Extrude. The distance you want to extrude is 62 millimeters. And I want you to click on this shape here. Okay, hopefully it's going up towards the 2 holes, so it should extend up towards these 2 holes. If you've got that looking good, click OK. Now this orange and blue work plane you can still see running through the middle of our shape can be hidden now, so just hover over it. When you see work plane 1, right click your mouse and click visibility, and that will turn the visibility off so you can't see it anymore. And that's how you draw a bearing bracket. Our next step is just to color it in. Okay, so let's go up to our appearance browser at the top here, that first little color wheel. I like to color mine using steel material. I might just use this knurled 45, whatever that is. So you click and drag over your shape to select it, and then hover over this appearance that you want to use, and just hit the little blue up arrow that you see, and that will apply that material to your shape. Close the appearance browser, and you have finished. So the next thing we need to do is just quickly head up to our save disk at the top, and we need to save that. We could go to File and Save As if need be. You want to call it bearing bracket, and just click Save. I'm just going to overwrite one of my old ones. Oh no, it's not going to let me. You should be able to call yours bearing bracket. I'll just have to save over the top of one of my old ones there. Alright, so I've got bearing bracket 2 sitting here now. The next thing we need to do is the orthographic projection of this shape and show all the dimensions of all the different sizes. Okay, so what I need to do is just go and close off my originals. This is basically what we're going to be making in a sec, but we'll just close this off. And I'll just close my original bearing bracket. Alright, so we've just got our shape sitting open. Leave your bearing bracket sitting open, and then go up to File and select New. And I want you to scroll down on the right here, making sure we've still got the metric templates folder selected. And when you see the drawing section, we're looking for the ANSI millimeter Inventor drawing option. Click Create, and you've got an empty template where you can start to create your orthographic projection. So click on the base to start with here, the base view, and that puts the base view of your shape in your page. Click up above it, click to the right of it, and then click diagonally up to the right, and you'll get the 4 different views that you need. Click OK when you're done. Now you can start to move these around and get them into a reasonable position, and to move them you just need to click on this little red dotted border that appears as you hover over them. Okay, so just move them around so they're evenly spaced. That's looking pretty good. Now we've got a bit of room up here to make this isometric view a bit bigger. So let's start with this one by double clicking on it, and we're simply going to change its scale to 2:1. Okay, we're going to put a label on it while we're there that says isometric view. We're going to click this little light bulb to turn on that label, and we're going to hit the little pencil there just to edit the label. We want to make this text here a bit bigger, so highlight all of the text and change the size to the biggest one you can go there, 6.1 mil. Click OK, and to colour it in you need to press this little button here, the shaded button. It's a little cube with a sphere just there next to it. Click OK, and it's just off the page at the minute, so grab that dotted red border and just move it down so it's sitting on your page. Feel free to grab the text as well and just move it down a bit so it's not as squished. That's your isometric view of the bearing bracket looking good. Let's go over here now and work with our orthographic projections, so the 2D view of the shapes. We'll start with this front view here. Okay, double click on the red border. In the label, let's write front view. Turn on the visibility of that label, which is a little light bulb. Hit the pencil there. Remember to delete the scale. We don't need to write that again. Highlight the word view and just change the size of the font to 6.1. Click OK. Click OK. Feel free to drag that down a bit. For the next one over here, we've got the side view, so double click on the dotted red border, write side view, and I'll do the same as before. Turn on the visibility, hit the pencil and delete scale, highlight view and make the text a bit bigger. Click OK, click OK. You've got the side view written in. Finally, we'll just come up the top here to the top view. So double click on the red border, write in for me top view, hit the little light bulb, hit the pencil, delete the word scale, and just make this view text a little bit bigger. Click OK, and you've got your top view written in. Okay, so I'll just zoom back for a moment so you get an idea of how it's looking. So far so good. We now need to add in dimensions just to show the sizes of our shape here. Okay, so in case somebody else wanted to draw this, they'd be able to pick up this orthographic projection and be able to do so. Okay, so we need to provide them with dimensions. So let's grab from our Annotate tab here the Dimension tool. We've got a few to add in. I'm going to start with this rounded left corner at the top here. Don't click the little green circle, just click the red line and drag out. And that shows you a radius of 25 mil. Just click OK every time this box comes up. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the center of this little circle. So we will click the green dot this time. And we're going to come across to the center of this shape here. Click the other green dot. You should get a 50 mil distance. Next thing we're going to do is do the distance between these two circles at the top. So click on that center point. Whoops. I'll have to zoom in a bit here and do this. So clicking on the center point, clicking on this center point. Bring it up, you should have a 100 mil gap between the two circles at the top. Now coming down on the left hand side, we might just click on this here, which is a 62 mil length. Looking down a bit lower, we want to measure from this baseline here of the rectangle to the center of that circle, which is 30 mil. So just bring that out and click OK. Now remember, this bottom circle is a bit different to the top circles. Okay, so we're going to have to click on this circle and get the diameter, which is going to be 12. And we're going to have to get this rounded edge here, which is a radius of 30. Okay, that's a little bit different to the 25 radius we did a little bit earlier on in the piece. What else do we need to do on this shape? We've just got one more to do, and it's going to be from the center of this circle down to the center of this circle. So click on those two centers, drag out to the right, and you should get a 92 mil dimension. That's our front view all dimensioned. So hopefully you've got the similar or the same sizes as what I do. We're then going to work our way across to the side view, which is just over here. There's not too much left to dimension now. Now we're going to dimension from this line over to this line, so the two solid lines. Drag up and you'll get 45 mil. Might drag it up here actually. Click OK. And then we're just going to measure from this solid line here to this solid line over here. Drag up and you'll get 18 mil. Now you can see that this little 18 is in the wrong spot, so press Escape. Just move that 18 mil over to the other side of the line, then you can drag it up and that will fit a bit nicer. Okay, that's our side view all sorted. The last thing we need to do now is just go up to the top view and throw a few dimensions in on this, and then we are done. So grab your Dimension tool again up the top. Let's just measure this little line on the side here, which will be 12 mil. We'll measure from this line here over to this line here, and that'll be 30 mil. We're going to measure from this baseline here down to the center of this circle. That'll give us about 38 mil. And then we'll just quickly do the two circles. Okay, so we'll have a 26 diameter for that inside circle, and we'll have a 50 diameter or a radius of 25 for the outer circle. Alrighty, so that is all our dimensioning done. So you can press Escape to turn your Dimension tool off. Just to finalize things, down in the bottom right corner, you want to give it a title, which will be Bearing Bracket. So in your Annotate tab, grab your Text tool here, click underneath the title, and in capital letters, just write for me Bearing Bracket. Remember to highlight the text, change the size to 6.1 mil, click OK, press Escape to turn that tool off, and you can just move that underneath the title. I'm just going to go to the View menu and zoom back out, and you can see now we've got our orthographic and isometric projection of this bearing bracket. Be sure to save that up, and you're finished.